Ant Group's blockbuster public offering, it's been postponed by the Hong Kong and Shanghai stock exchanges there. The news comes after a number of regulatory agencies held a meeting with Ant Group's controlling shareholder, Jack Ma, and other top executives. The meeting disqualified Ant from its planned listing tomorrow. Ant Group was expected to raise $34.4 billion in concurrent IPOs in both Hong Kong and Shanghai, which would have made it one of the biggest, the biggest public offering ever. I'm now joined by Drew Bernstein, who is the co-chairman at MBP. Drew, great to have you here with us on the day. Why is this happening, and why now?
Well, everybody was surprised when they saw this deal. I mean, this is a $34 billion deal that was going to be the crowning jewel of an extraordinary run for the China capital markets. And this plane was ready to take off, and the wheels were off the ground already. And, the deal got called off. And I think perhaps, some of the reasons behind this is, this is an extraordinarily large deal, the largest deal that's occurred. And I think that, when the Chinese regulators looked at this, they saw there were consequences to getting this wrong, and they just didn't want to get it wrong. So, they took the time, and it looks like the deal is going to have to get restructured to a large degree.
What does that mean for the valuation of Ant Group as we had come to know it?
Well, valuations are done at a point in time. And like I said, they're going to have to restructure this deal to come more in compliance with some of the regulations and, board decisions that are going to come down. It's going to take some time to do that. It looks like they're going to have to maybe pump some more capital into a loan division. They may have to apply for some new licenses. And, let's face it, this is an extremely complicated company. This is like a financial supermarket on steroids. So it's a, difficult company to understand exactly what they do. People in my firm, for instance, in China, they use this, to buy credit cards, insurance, anything. They just tap their smartphone and everything's there.
Okay, and so with that in mind, at the end of the day, are we still looking at the largest IPO ever, or do you think that it's going to decrease dramatically, and will there be a different route to going public, even if they're able to do so on the timing side? How does that change?
Well, the timing obviously is going to be put off, and it depends on how they restructure the deal. I don't think, this is not about creating the largest deal or the biggest building in the world for China. I think this is about getting it right. This company has, very pervasive business practices that tap into all sorts of the financial industry in China. And I think the regulators have a lot at risk if something were to go wrong with this deal. And in their meeting, I think they kind of laid down what the requirements were, and they weren't able to check all the boxes. Jack Ma, he was quoted as saying that you can't run a train station or manage a train station like an airport. And interpretation is the government heard that and explained to him, well, if you have a train and it goes toot toot, it's going to travel on our tracks.
That's a great analogy and point well taken, particularly as we think about the power and influence of the Chinese government. What does this say about that? The fact that you had Jack Ma and the other executives at Ant Group having this meeting and essentially being told, hey, this can't go any further unless these regulations are now met.
Well, I think that there'll be a benefit, to this, because I think it's going to start to add clarity, at least within China, some of the rules and regulations that are going to be in place for some of these fintech companies. They're getting very, very large and extremely complex. When you look at a company like Ant Financial, imagine taking a company like Amazon and then rolling an investment bank and an insurance company and a credit card company all into one. All right. So, it's very complex, and I can understand that when the regulators sat down with, Jack Ma and started to understand this, at the end of the meeting, they just weren't able to check off all the boxes.
All right, we're going to be watching very closely to see what Ant does from here. Drew Bernstein, who is the co-chairman at MBP, joining us here today.